Hello, my loves. So good to have you here today for this epic conversation with my amazing Momentum Mastermind client, Kate Conklin. Kate is an absolute she's just so amazing. I can't wait for all of you to meet her. And she's going to be sharing with you how she started collapsing timelines in getting to literally 3x, which she was making I think last year, the year before, and how she's been able to create literally in 6 months what she used to do in 12 months. That's what we talk about. That's what the concept of collapsing the timeline, being able to create what you did in 12 months in 6 months and what you did in 6 months in 3 months. And the reason why I believe this is a really important conversation that I wanted to have with her, literally this was an idea that just came up in the shower like on Monday or Tuesday. It's because I know that all of you here who follow me, who are in my world, you know that you want to attract more clients and you want things to happen quickly or to happen in a way where you don't have to wait 10 years to create the life that you really want. And you see my clients create epic, unreasonable results and you're like, wait, how does that work? What are they doing? And so Kate is going to reveal what we do, what happened for her, so that she was able to create these amazing results. And here's what I want to say before we begin and I have her introduce herself. I want to tell you that the reason why this is an important conversation that I want you to really pay close attention to is because you're going to see outside of the Juliana world, you're going to see people saying that collapsing timelines is bullshit, that is not real, that is harmful, that is unsafe, that is terrible for you because you have to come from this energy of rushing and that you have to leave your nervous system behind and you have to work really hard and just be in this hustle energy. And that is not true. That is absolutely not true. And that is what Kate is going to share with you today. So she's in the flesh, the result of so much of what I teach. And so it's better sometimes when you guys hear it from another human other than me, so that you know it's actually possible. So Kate, say hello to everybody and tell them who you are and what you do.
Hello, everyone. So excited to be here. So happy to be talking to you, Juliana. It's always a good thing to be talking to Juliana. So I'm Kate Conklin. I am a singer. I sing Bulgarian music. I sing opera. I sing in 17 languages. So I won't list everything, but I sing a lot of stuff. Hindustani music, et cetera, et cetera. So that is my performance thing. I'm also a public speaker. And I am an extraordinary performance coach. That is a job that I made up, I invented based on what I saw my colleagues needed and weren't getting. And specifically, I invented this when I was in performing with Cirque du Soleil, when I was in the vocalist in O. And I was noticing what was necessary, what was wanted by literally the best performers in the world that was not being provided. And I had the audacity to go, I wonder if I could get good enough at what I think I need to get good enough at, that I could help these people the way that I help myself get better and better at singing. So that's what I do. I help the best people in the world, visionaries, CEOs, performers, perform better than they imagined possible.
So freaking good. So good. You're like, I had the audacity to believe that that's what I wanted to do. And I just went and did it. Like, that is the vibe. So good.
Well, we can find out, can't we?
Yeah.
I mean, this is why Juliana and I, like at a very foundational core level, understand each other as beings. And I'm a little bit like, I'll be brief here, but Juliana and I have both created miracles in our health, in our physical lives, in relationships, in our income, in our, like, this is someone who understands that what other people say is possible is not the limit.
Right.
And that's who I have to work with. That's who my clients have to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Because, as we say, like, it's not about ordinary. It's not about normal. We are doing things that most people don't do. And when you get there, you have to have someone who has done that and is a master at it. And that would be Juliana. That would be me in my field. That would be Juliana in her field.
Oh, I love you so much. So true. And so for everyone who's just joining here, I really want you to know that the conversation we're about to have is not the conversation that most people have outside in the world. What you're going to see in the world is all the reasons why what we're about to say it's impossible. You're going to have a lot of dissonance in what your experience of what we're going to say is going to be versus when you go out there and start talking about it to your friends, to your colleagues, to other peers, because we don't do things in a normal way. We don't do things in a regular way. We don't just put the limit on what we think we can create or what other people think that they need to create. We always go beyond what we think is possible. And that's something that I help my clients get clear on. It's not what do they think that is, what have other people told them what that is possible, and then go after that. We redefine what they desire and then we go after that. And so for Kate, let's talk about when you first started so that people understand the amazingness of this. And as you hear me say this, everybody, I want you to know that this is not just her and this is not just me. This is just we're just two women who decided to be audacious enough to believe that more was possible. And we were audacious enough to believe, delusional enough to believe that what other people's limitations are just not applicable to us. That's it. And then we went and decided that more was available. And so let's talk about really briefly, Kate, just so that people have context, what you were doing before we were working together. And then we're going to teach you guys what she did along the way to get to where she's at now. And I'll just kind of give a little snippet of the highlight. When you first talked to me, we were on the phone when I was still doing sales calls. You were charging like a few $100s for your sessions to coach people, right?
I was charging $250 hourly, which was more than anyone in most of the fields. If you take all of my fields and put them together, there is no one else here. However, in most of the, comparable, that was already at the top.
Right. So you were at the top charging per hour. And then can you tell everybody now, and how much were you making that year before we started working together? How much were you making just yearly?
$50,000. I was doing a lot of programs and education for a very select group of clients.
Yeah.
And the quality was extremely high. And then the enrollment, the numbers were extremely low. So it was very specific and precise and bespoke. And, where I could get it was about $50,000 a year.
So you're making 50 grand a year. Now, where are you at today?
Today?
Like at your today, the last 6 months, this year, how much money have you made?
I had it written down. Where I'm at today for 2022 is $154,000.
Okay. So I just want everyone to really get that. 2 years ago, she was making $50,000. Today, she made $50,000 per month. Essentially. Okay. No, wait, no, per month. Divided into, sorry, I was thinking
in 2 quarters. I'm like, 2 quarters.
In 2 quarters. She made $150,000 in 6 months.
Yeah. So just to, because we're talking about doubling.
Right.
When I signed with Juliana, what we actually did was triple. Just to be clear. That's actually what happened. And that's fine if that doesn't happen. I would have been fine if I just, but that is what happened, right? So I was making, hey, Charmaine, I was making $50,000 a year. I signed with Juliana in 2021, and that was a $150,000 a year.
That's right.
And then this year, I'm at 150,000-ish for the first 6 months. So it's like we tripled, and now we're doubling what we.
Correct. Okay. So now we have the facts straight, and now they understand. Okay. So let's talk about how this collapsing of the timeline worked for you. So what were the things that happened for you in order to create this? Because a lot of people think, I'm going to have to sacrifice my lifestyle. I'm going to have to work harder. And I know that for you was really important. It's spaciousness. And so can you tell people what does it look like behind the scenes, or do you have spaciousness in your life?
Yes. I would say I have more than ever. that's not quite true. If I wasn't working at all, I suppose that would be more. But in terms of my professional life working, it is the most I've ever had. And it's more importantly, it's where I want it.
Right.
And that's been a process of me figuring out where I want it, and also bringing myself along to, is that possible? Right? It's what I always say, like, what do I want? How might it be possible? What will I be satisfied with? And so there was some time there where I was like, how might it be possible? Is it possible? Do I believe it's possible? Because I have to say, Juliana was on board from the get-go. Like, she was just like, oh, you're good. Like, you can do. And every time I would bring something to Juliana that I thought, well, this is a limitation and this is probably going to make her go, ooh, that's going to be hard, she was like, oh, that's perfect. And so one of the things that I appreciate so much about working with Juliana is simply that she does not see the limitations that I see. And everyone who, you know, I've worked with her for 3 containers in a row, because when something's working, we keep doing it. This PS, that's part of how I function in the world. If it's working and it's working the way I want, we're going to keep doing it. And so a big part of working with Juliana has been her continuing to be a stand for my spaciousness when I think I might need to compromise a little bit. And she's like, oh, no, that's not what we need to do. It can get simpler. It can get more spacious. Let's prioritize rest. And I'm like, really? There's no thing that's coming of like, well, here's when you need to buckle down and be hard on yourself, Kate. It's like, that's not in the conversation. And it continues to be deeply healing to have someone be that clear on what you want and that unceasing in their belief that you can have it, plus the strategy and the tactics to make it happen pretty fast. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, I didn't ask Kate to come here and talk about me, but I love that you're sharing all of this. I'm fully receiving it. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's because this is, I mean, I'm saying it because this is what people don't understand. This is what people haven't experienced. Because I've worked with some great coaches and I've done marketing stuff and I've had growth in my business and blah, but like, it's a different planet, y'all. And if you haven't been there, why would you know about it? It's like when people work with me and they're like, oh, I never have to think about managing breath again. Like, I'm just good. I have everything I need to sing and speak without ever thinking about breathing. It's just exactly what I need. If you've never experienced that, you have no reference.
Right.
So I think it's really important. I mean, you're asking how I did what I did. The first thing I did was I saw that you were on board with who I am 100%.
And so what I want to say for everybody here is, you may not have me as your coach, and that needs to change. But until that happens,
choice.
Get yourself with somebody and get yourself on board or your own vision more than anybody else. Like, you have to get yourself on board with what you think is impossible more than everybody else. You cannot wait for somebody to approve your plan, for somebody to say, yep, you're good to go. That's not that. I mean, I don't even have somebody to tell me. I coach myself on my impossible goals. I literally set the goals for myself and I blaze the trail for all of my clients, because I have had people tell me, what you want to create is impossible. Like, you should, like, premium pricing, that's just not okay. Right. I've literally had people that I trust that have mentored me in the past, and that's okay. That's their opinion. There's not a problem. But the most important person that you need to get on board with what you want is you. So if you don't have a coach to get on board with your impossible vision, or with what the collapsing the timeline, creating the impossible, get yourself behind as the number one person, because that's the only person that you're going to spend day and night with, going to bed with, working with. And so if she's not in your corner, then you're going to be doubting yourself and giving yourself a lot of reasons to not go for it. So level number 1, be around people who actually see impossible be really possible and really doable and really easy.
Yeah, it's really, everything I've done in my life has been the seemingly impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was really hard to find a coach who was able to have the size of vision that I wanted and the strategy to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I don't know if you know this, Juliana, but I signed up for a 10K program like maybe a year or two before I met you. And I dropped out and I got my money back because I showed up and I was like, nope, you don't, this isn't the vibe. And like, I really have, like, for my singing, for my performing, for my life, I have big dreams and visions. And like you say, for a lot of us, there are coaches that take us to a certain point and then they're not able to hold that vision. And so what I think is really key is having, if you're going to work with a coach, which at some point I highly recommend, that they need to have an infinitely expansive vision of you.
Mm-hmm. So good. Oof.
And they're going to have that if they have that of themselves.
Mm.
You know, Juliana doesn't see herself as capped. I don't see myself as capped. I'm not like, oh, that's enough for you. You don't get any more. I'm like, ooh, I just had an idea. Let's go chase that down. Let's go see, you know, and that's why we're so effective with ourselves and with other people.
Oh my gosh.
I think.
So good. Okay. So after when you have somebody, what happens? Okay. So we have somebody who sees us as limitless. And then what happened for you? Because what I remember is that, so now you, instead of charging $250 per hour, now you're selling $16,000 packages. Is that what's happening? 16. Yeah. Okay. So that's fucking amazing, right? And of course you are. And so let's talk a little bit about what happened for you to get behind the idea that that was possible for you, and that you could be the type of audacious person that could do that. Like, what happened?
Ooh, here goes the mascara. Okay, so it's really important, actually, what you're saying, that, you know, yes, believe, you know, coach with someone who believes you're limitless. And also, if you don't have that, do that for yourself. Like, you have to do it for yourself regardless. Right. So there is that. There are a couple really key things here. So I have, as many artists have, invested a lot of time and energy and money in getting good at what I care about, getting great at what I care about, getting exquisite at what I care about, which is singing, and helping other people learn what I learned a lot faster than it took me to do all the experimenting, right? Like, here, just have it, you know? So I did not do all of that to not have people be able to benefit from it. I did not do all of that to disappear into obscurity. And so what was really key was this, like, gut level determination. Like, I did not come this far to give up and be done and be like, oh, I never figured it out. I never figured out how to communicate how epic this is. I never figured out how to make enough money that I wasn't stressed and frazzled all the time. And it took, you know, really being very clear and quiet and confrontative of, like, what do I think the point of life is? What did I come to the planet to do? Am I confused about that? I am not. And is it true that there is no one who can help me? No. There has to be someone. And if it means I need a headlamp and a pickaxe to find them, fine. But, you know, you don't need that when people are communicating clearly about what they do and who they help, which is what we're doing right now. We're going, oh, really? This exists? Seriously.
Yeah.
Right.
So let me like rephrase that and just let me know if this lands or like for everybody. So something that we did together, and this is something that's going to help all of you collapse the timeline. And this is something that we did is we got super clear that who she wanted to help was 1,000% available. She didn't need 100 million people. You don't have a big audience. I mean, you post on Facebook, like you don't have any of the things people think they need in order to create these kinds of results, by the way, like groups.
Correct.
Big following, none of that. Like none of that is, you don't have any of that. But what you did have was deep conviction and clarity and determination that you could help somebody and you could transform their lives. And you let that be the guiding post for, okay, I'm going to choose to not charge $250 for my hour because that actually puts me in the backseat of my business, meaning you have to do the work and not your business doing the work for you. And so we got you fully resourced by going from the mentality of I have to charge $150 an hour, and then shifting into wait. If I want to help all these people that I feel really confident in helping, number one, then what do I need to do in order to feel fully resourced, in order to show up really powerfully for them? Because it's my responsibility or is my desire to go and support them at that level. And so for everyone who's listening to this, I want you to think about collapsing timeline is all about collapsing is doubling down on the belief that you have about your capacity. That's all it is. It's not about time. It's not about you having to wait for the evidence to show up, or for you waiting for the likes and comments to come in, or for you to wait and make sure that people are a yes to you. You have to be willing to be a double down yes on you. Yes. When people are not buying, when people are not saying yes, when people were telling you no for your $10,000 package, which was the thing that we increased to, and when the thing that you kind of started really selling last year, you went from $250 an hour to $10,000 for 3 months. And you started selling that because you doubled down on believing, wait, I am the best in the world at this. I don't give a fuck what everyone tells me. I don't care if even my industry thinks that I'm crazy. I don't care what anybody says. I'm doubling down on my belief. Therefore, I have less time to it takes me less time to create my results.
Yeah. And something that's really important that is inside the program and inside Juliana's programs, and that was a huge shift for me, was I was pretty good at my belief in myself. You know, like I don't have a low self-opinion. Doesn't mean there aren't wobbles, doesn't mean there aren't issues, but like when I really get down to it, I know I have mastery in what I do. I also needed to shift what I was thinking and believing about my clients. And in the arts, there's a lot of accumulation of we're talking about other people's beliefs about what's possible. And one of the things that we uncovered was like, I was believing my clients were disempowered to an extent. And as soon as I went, you know what? I pay a lot for training. I'm super dedicated to mastery. I go and find those coaches who are amazing and I insist they work with me. Why am I believing my clients are like, no, I couldn't possibly, no, it's too hard. No. It's like, that was a big issue underneath everything. And as soon as we got clear on that, and I went, okay, I know my clients, I know they're unstoppable. I need to get on board with that fully. Everything shifted. And I want to say this is not only did people invest in a monetary way, the results we created talk about doubling results and collapsing the timeline. It was like, oh my God, when everybody brings their full power, it's just rocket fuel.
So good.
And part of the problem was I was a little bit pulling my punches. I was a little bit playing Bush League instead of being like, right, we're here to really do the thing. And as Juliana says, you don't need that many people, because it's really about finding those people who are such a perfect match. And most of them are already in my world. I was working with so many of them already.
Yes.
They're like my lifelong,
so good.
Beloved. Some of them are here, Sarah, Becky, like these people who are like my soulmates in whatever we're doing. And so I had to really clean up what I was believing about money and artists. And this is the last thing I'll say. I will breathe after this, I promise. It came down to also, I am a stand for artists deserve to be resourced.
Mm-hmm.
What we do is important.
Mm-hmm.
What, how many times I did this yesterday? How many times has an artist or an album or a something saved your fucking soul? Sorry, saved your soul in a moment where you needed it. This happened to me just yesterday morning. I was like, I need to hear my album that helps me find myself again, that helps me land back in myself. Those people should not be suffering.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't, there's nobody that I know, no coach, no human that is like, well, you should be scrambling and suffering. Yeah. No, everybody's better off when we're resourced monetarily, nervous system wise, energetically, all of it. And that is what I've been evangelizing to my husband all week is like, I couldn't have gotten here the work hard way. Mm-hmm. I know because I tried and it totally messed me around. So the only way that we got here was through being super clear, communicating that clarity, and then expanding the capacity to receive and appreciate.
Right. Oh, so good. Okay. I have like literally 5 minutes left. So here's what I'm going to pack in value for all of you. So what Kate just said is so important because I want all of you to know that the way that we got here with her was not by rushing her to make money. We never focused on the goal being the reason why she was going for all of this. We focused on how she wanted to feel, and what she wanted to have and what's value. I love that you said this the other day. She's not the type of person that wants to be jet setting around the world and buying expensive bags and like being that type of person to make money. That's just not her archetype, right? And it's fine. I love jet setting around the world and I love buying expensive bags. That doesn't mean that my clients want to do the same thing. And so what's really important is that you find your reason why you want this and let that be enough and let that actually be the guiding star for you to make decisions about your business. So she wanted spaciousness. Instead of working with 1,000 clients at $250, we decided that we were going to go with fewer clients at a premium price so that she could go really, really deep with them. And then build all her belief around her offer and her clients really, really deeply so that those clients felt safe with her in her container. And that is literally what has happened. So in terms of practical aspects that I want you to think about is not about rushing and making things harder for yourself. It's actually about cleaning all that feels really hard and heavy, or like that fills up your time with more work, and making all of that optional and focusing on what is most essential and what is the fastest path for me to get there. And for us, it was one simple thing: raise her prices and focus on less people and keep spaciousness as her top priority. That's all we've been doing.
And by the way, when you hear that, just know if that hits you as like, that's like, okay, do it. When we decided that, it was confronting for me. Like, there is nothing like that kind of clarity and precision to help you clean up what you need to clean up. It's like, oh, so we're going to actually do this.
Yeah. And that's what most of my clients come to me because they want that kind of life. I don't help you try to get like 100 clients at $250. I don't help you with like low ticket stuff. That's just not that's just not my thing. And so when people come to me is because they want something that's more streamlined and spacious, and they want fewer clients at a higher price point. And so they already know that we're going to talk about pricing, that we're going to have to confront their beliefs about money. We're going to have to confront their beliefs about their own value and about their clients actually existing in the world. And so it's important that you, for yourself, as you're listening to this, you get clear on what kind of business do I want to have? What is important to me? What is it that I want my business to allow me to do? Because then we create the business around what you desire, what is the spaciousness that you want. And for Kate and for my clients, this is what they desire. They want more spaciousness, less clients, and higher income revenue, higher revenue, so that they don't have to be attached to the screen 24/7, working with people all of the time, because that goes against what they desire. So all we did is just gave her permission to actually lean in more on what she wanted and less on what she didn't want.
And the depth of the work was the guiding light. Like, yes, all of that. But as Juliana says, it's like, yes, I came to her to make money, to see if that was possible. But really, it was like what really got me to do the things I needed to do, which were maybe like a little edgy for me, was you get to do what you actually love doing. Not screwing around with, 100 people who are half in, half out, but go deep with the kind of clients who want and need that. And that is very effective for getting you past some of those like niggles and fears of like, eek, is that okay if I do that? It's like, ooh, but if I do it and it works, it's the best.
Right.
So I will try. I will take that step.
Okay. And so before we go, the last thing that I want to say that is really important that you guys might feel, what might confront outside of, this world, this Juliana sphere and world, is that you might hear, okay, collapsing the timeline equals pressure, because then you have to rush yourself to make some kind of money. And the impact of that is that your nervous system is going to take a really big hit. And here's what I want to say, that all we did with Kate, so much of the work that we did with Kate and that I do with my clients is so important to literally bring your nervous system along with you as you're making these big decisions that you want to believe in bigger things, bigger prices, receive more money. There's a lot of emotional components that are going to arise. And that is the point of doing it, to meet those parts of you that you have totally forgotten about, that you have been dismissing. Let them have a voice. Let them say, I'm scared. This feels like really edgy. Like, what if I'm not good enough because if I don't hit my goal? What if these people don't exist? What if I'm crazy for saying, what if it ends up all being worse and I end up in the street? All of that, those voices are the ones we have not allowed to speak up. And so when you do this work, you actually bring your nervous system along with you, because you give space for those parts of you to come and for us to actually welcome them back into ourselves, because we have been disassociating ourselves from those fears. And this is why this work is so powerful, because then you welcome all parts of you and you bring them with you as you make the decision to elevate. So I just wanted to say that. Last part.
100%. This is what I initially thought, years ago was like, oh, if you're going to have success, you have to get through. I had this concept of like kind of blustering and markety and postured and whatever. And I never did it because I was like, I'm not going to do those things. And what has been absolutely fascinating and such a gift is that it's all through softening. It's all through, and I don't mean getting vulnerable to injury and like spilling your guts and I don't mean like danger. I mean regulating, being soft with yourself, being like, it's all through becoming more of who you truly are. And as soon as I heard that from Juliana, I was like, okay, just as long as we're all clear that that's what's going to happen, like, let's, and like, every step in this process, I've been like, what? Oh my gosh, we just did that. And here's what I want to add. Today, a year and a half since I started working with Juliana, today, it just feels normal. When I first started making money, I was like, did that happen? Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. It was just sort of like, what's going on? It's when we do it this way, when we bring your nervous system along, it just gets lived in and it becomes where you're comfortable. And that, I never knew I could get there.
So good. Okay. I'm running 5 minutes late, so we got to go.
Okay.
But I want to say thank you so much for everyone who came. And just remember that there is the softening and the appreciation that you get to live in for what you have now. It's going to be the fuel for you to get to the impossible goal that you desire. Like it really has to come from loving yourself and appreciating where you're at and being more of who you are instead of denying yourself and what you want and putting other priorities first. It's just leaning more on what you want, what you desire. That is how we get there way faster. So, Kate, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to have to.
Thank you for having me.
I love you all. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Ciao.